Yeah, you can stop laughing at me now, Gareth. And I know I've been having blonde moments today. Sorry, everybody, that this is a bit late. We had a bit of drama today with tech.
Do you know what? It's not drama. I've got my purple lounge going later. I'm going to chill with the still. But there was something that Vicky and I needed to talk about, wasn't there?
There is, although first and foremost, happy birthday, Gareth. 21 again.
Yeah, I know. Oh God. Yes, 56. I'm feeling good actually. I never thought I'd make it much beyond 30. So 56 to me, every year beyond 30 is a bonus. I'm happy.
Awesome. Loving that. And you know, I'll be raising a pint here tonight in your purple lounge, dude. So yeah, so today we're going to be talking around reframing and the importance of that, particularly in the work environment, and then we're going to go on to some LinkedIn tips with Gareth. So this week's been a bit of an interesting week. Posted up about transgender, got some hate mail for that, which was cool. And then yesterday, chatting to someone in my network, and I got called a parasite, amongst other things. Now, for me, when you start thinking of parasites, you start thinking about these little zombie things that just kind of like take something
Hang
over.
on a second. You know me, I'm very hung up on words. They just don't understand English. Parasite is something that uses up the host it's latched onto while giving nothing back to the equation, and you do precisely the opposite of that. If anything, if I was going to say that you latched onto a host, you are in fact keeping that host going. So I would say that you do the exact opposite of that. You latch on. You're not latched on permanently. You're only latched on as long as they want you to be latched on, and you only give them positive reinforcement and support. God knows you've done enough for me. So I should say, dog knows you've done enough for me.
Bless you, Gareth.
That's all right.
Thanks.
Now shut.
And this guy, when I kind of reframed it to him to say pretty much, well, not quite like that, I'd said, well, when I remembered this episode of House MD where he was talking to a pregnant woman and said, oh, you've got a parasite and it has your eyes. And in that moment, that memory of House came back to me, not only because I've been desperate to watch it, but it actually reframed something in my mind when I saw that episode. And it just kind of made pregnancy. I approached pregnancy from a different perspective as a result, in that there is this thing that is growing inside the uterus, the female who's carrying its body, that is retrieving nutrients from a bloodstream.
Yes, but the difference here is the host is willingly giving that.
Yeah.
Willingly.
Yeah. Willingly, exactly. And for me, that is for me what a parasite is. I mean, if I wanted to, I could get rid of a parasite. I give my cats worming tablets every month to get rid of any parasites that they have in their gut. They object to taking it. Of course they do.
Well, I'm not sure I'm happy with your thoughts that the baby is similar to that, because a baby is completely different. The reason why it's different is you want that baby to be there.
Exactly. And it's a choice. It's a choice. I choose to think of that baby as something that I want to nourish. And therefore, while House referred to it as a parasite, it allowed me to see it in a way that I was giving nutrients. I was allowing this parasite, in inverted commas, to be able to be there and to take nutrients from me. So when I got called it, I didn't think of this soul-sucking thing that was sapping energy. I saw it as House MD put it, as something that is, giving and receiving. And it's not so much of a negative word.
Well, I think what they call, there's a word for that. It's less of a parasite and more of a symbiont. So a symbiont is something that works in that way, but is giving as well as receiving, whereas a parasite only takes. And what you do is you give and receive. So yes, you can lose the Vicky Poole from your life if that's what you want. That's fine, but she's there not to take. She's there to give and receive. It's a two-way it's a two-way transformational relationship.
I love that you said that. One of the things that I love most about what I do is that I work across all time zones. And yesterday I was chatting with this lovely lady called Noelle, in Sacramento in the
Right.
States. And at the end of our time together, she said, "Oh my God, I can't do the American accent. She was so much better at it than me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. You're so much of an ancestral healer." I know. I think I might have to nick that badge. And when I asked her to kind of articulate that a little more, she said, "Well, you've just mended some elements of my past that have been clinging on to me, keeping me where I was."
I get it. That's actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's quite cool. So I might be updating all of my profiles later. I'm still kind of letting that resonate with me.
Yeah, but I want to talk more about inclusion, especially some of the more recent parts of it that perhaps you come across. I want to highlight that because it's not right.
There's lots that we could talk about there, Gareth. It's a bit like saying, I want to go shopping to a supermarket. Which one and for what? So you might have to narrow that down a bit, sweet.
Appropriate for
more technology blips.
No, it's just the news popping on in the corner. Carry on.
Well, you're going to give me a topic to talk about.
Well, I want to talk about inclusion in an online medium. I want to talk about the way in which one can or can't be treated. I want to talk about how it's not about the PC brigade watching every step. It's about using your noodle and thinking before you open your flappy mouth, and also I think it's about corporations taking 5 seconds before they act just to think twofold. One is let's think about just the humanity that before you jump, how would this reflect on the person you're jumping? So if for instance you were to do something on an online platform of some sort that might be considered by them to be against their own terms, if you were going to, for instance, say something, but it blatantly isn't, before they cut you out of it, before they kick you off, surely they should have a word with themselves and check whether it really is a problem or not. And then the second thing is they should really think about what the knock-on effect to a large and ever increasingly large community would be, and how they're going to react to them, and then from a personal interest point of view, from their perspective, how it's going to make them look. You'd think they would just think it through.
I sense from some of your comments, Gareth, that you're talking around when LinkedIn kicked me off my profile the other week.
I think it might have something vaguely to do with that. And then, what's more, guys, and I hope you guys are listening, this is classic. They said, "Oh yeah, Vicky, let's spend some time with you just so we can find out the root cause. And we have a little chat, right?" And they arranged that. And they had a chat with her, and the guy spent more time staring at his phone and ignoring what she was saying than she did doing anything. And I think, what was it? You were booked for a half-an-hour meeting, and the whole thing lasted 6 minutes in and out. Jesus, I take longer to get a hamburger.
All right. Okay. Right. Let's take this from start to finish. So people had
We're down the rabbit hole now.
Oh, I know. Welcome to Alice in Wonderland, and welcome to the mind of Vic and Gaz. This is going to be interesting for a few of you. Cool. So yeah, LinkedIn took my profile down a few weeks ago because I had updated some elements to my profile page. Now,
let's be blunt. It was her banner, and on her banner was two people touching noses.
I'm getting to it, Gareth. I know that you're passionate about this. So I made some series of changes to my website, to my profile. I'd updated my about section, my caption, and my banner. Now, when you have a banner on LinkedIn, it pretty much just gives people a snapshot and insight to what you're about. And I love taboo topics. And with being a member of the LBG community myself, we're always being taught to conform. So I found a photograph of two very beautiful people with long hair, almost touching noses, as Gareth says, and giving a kiss, which is the kind of kiss that I give to most of my friends, male and female.
A kiss you give to a dog, for God's sake.
Or a cat, can't forget.
Or a cat. Oh, God.
Yeah, me and you were going to fall out because I'm such a pussy person. And yeah, and someone had lodged a complaint against the banner. Now, bearing in mind that I'm listed presently as an LBG coach, you know, it would stand to reason that there'd be elements to LBG on my page, and without any sort of consideration or flagging or asking a question, my profile was immediately taken down.
It was just not just a profile. You had no access to go in and amend things. You were just cut.
No access. I couldn't even contact LinkedIn. It was quite challenging. Now, over the correspondence I got from LinkedIn was we have removed your profile because it contained abusive and restrictive material. Which, this is the best bit, when I looked up what the definition of that was, it included things like making artillery.
Yeah, well, that's what you were doing. You were
totally. I'm breeding love, people, and different perspectives and opinions. And I had to fight, or I felt like I had to fight for my profile back. And the only reason I got my profile back as quickly as I did was because Gareth, God bless you, you helped me by using some people in your network to really stir the pot.
I basically got in touch with the CEO of LinkedIn and I said, I just want to know, is this representative of your stance towards the LGBTQIA community? I'm a dad of a gay man and a trans woman, and I'm really keen to find out, is this a network I want to be involved with?
Yeah. So I love that, Gareth, and thank you for your support. And it's wonderful to know that there are members out there in the LBG and allies or alliances community, wider community, whatever we choose to call you. We're glad to have you with us. Now, to give credit where credit's due, LinkedIn did come back and say, you know what, guys, we messed up. You can have your profile back. You can even put your original photo back. Everything is present, fine, and correct. And offered time with me, which I thought was quite nice. Now, when people offer time with you, I'd like to think that I have their sole undivided attention. And because that's what I give, minus my cup of tea. I can't live without my tea. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a caffeine fiend. But it is nice to know that I'm being listened to.
But it's normal. Well, it's not just you, Vicky. It's normal to transact with another human, giving them, I would say, at least 60 to 70% of your attention. I mean, there are odd noises going off right and left for me, and I'm ignoring it, and I'm focusing on you. That's normal.
So there are, yes, Gareth, it is normal. There are things that you can look at it by. So you can look at it to say that the guy that I was speaking to was a quite senior guy within LinkedIn. There is obviously stuff going on in his life that he needs to be aware of. The time difference made that it was actually out of hours for me. And, you know, it was just the start of his day. So I would have liked to have thought that he could give me like some dedicated time. But you know what? Top and bottom of it was, he actually, excuse me, found time in his calendar to speak to me. He didn't need to do it.
What a lovely man.
He shared, nice guy. He shared with me that it was someone who was wrongly allocated to a queue and wasn't trained in this area. And actually, this whole process allowed LinkedIn to recognize that there's been a process lapse, which they are currently reviewing. So whilst this is horrific that it happened to me in the first place, think of all of the people that this experience is then going to go on to impact and affect.
Am I allowed to be cynical?
Oh, go on, Gareth.
Well, I think it just, all they're trying to do is avoid lawsuits, frankly, because it's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. If they did this to somebody else who's less forgiving than you or I, and more interested in getting it, there's a lawsuit waiting to happen. You can make 100K out of this, no difficulty, if you wanted to, but there's no issue. We've no interest in that. We just want people to be treated reasonably.
So it's funny you mentioned lawsuits. The funny thing with having your mobile listed on your LinkedIn page is that your phone rings constantly. I can feel my phone buzzing right now. It's probably someone telling me that the video is late on LinkedIn. And I had phone calls and messages right up until the evening from solicitors saying, can I represent you on this? I'm like, yes. Represent me for what? The whole thing about what I'm trying to do is to raise awareness so that you can have these conversations. The problem with the world today is that people need to feel right. They need to feel as though they are right and in the right place. And Marvel, as a movie, is bang on to this. You've got all these goodies ganging up on the baddie who thinks differently to them. All right. And, you know, that's a topic for a different day. What we actually want is a world where people can say what they feel using the words that are important to them. And then the other person being able to be in a place, so the listener being able to be in a place where they can accept what has been said to them and try and reframe it to find words that make it positive for them. I've always been told that whatever I say, it comes across really negative. And it's because people don't want to hear what I have to say, or didn't want to hear what I had to say at the time, because no one likes being told the truth.
I tell you what, every time my wife says to me, what you're saying is really negative, I wait 2 seconds to go, no, it isn't. But anyway, sorry. No, you don't actually. What you do is you come across the same way as I do, and this is one of the reasons why we love each other so much, is that we're blunt as buggery, and we say what it is. We call a spade a mechanical digging implement, and that's where it rests. We're not going to scoot around it. I always consider that the shortest distance between two dots is a straight line. I'm not willing to go around the houses to try and buff up someone's ego rather than going straight there and calling it directly what it is. And it just rankles with me when an organization as big as LinkedIn, let's face it, owned by Microsoft, don't have the emotional intelligence to realize that maybe they should take 5 and check themselves before they wreck themselves. Right, I'm getting off my high horse now.
No, okay, awesome. Thank you, Gareth. Appreciate you standing down. I'll say again, you know, we live in a world of awareness where people want to feel included and accepted. And when we get pushed back to say that you're not accepted, you feel the need to conform. By standing up for yourself and by holding your ground and by reframing what has been said to you, you actually allow yourself to grow. And that is purely a mindset. And I don't care whether or not you speak to me or you speak to any other coach about this. Reframing the mindset allows you to be able to excel in life. So yeah, there is a compliment in there. So take of it what you wish.
I want to give you a quote. It's
cool.
it's an abridged quote.
Awesome.
Because I'm going to make it more inclusive, but it's originally called The Reasonable Man, the quote. So I'm going to say the reasonable person. The reasonable person, this is from George Bernard Shaw. Reasonable person that adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to him or herself or themselves. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable person. So being unreasonable in a world that's trying to force you down a route that you might not want to go down is the only way we make progress.
Awesome. Well, in that case, Gareth, I'm going to build a tribe of unreasonable people.
I'm in there.
Awesome. Cool. Now, I'm conscious of time, and we're coming up for 20 minutes, and I was only hoping to spend 10 minutes on this topic, so we're going to have to keep some stuff for next week. So typical when we get together, Gareth.
Nah.
Now, Gareth, you run a couple of businesses, and one of those in there is Purple Fedora, which is awesome. And you also do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. You are a LinkedIn god.
I'm not. All I've done is I've spotted trends. I've read some books. I've attended courses, and I've read online e-zines, and I've collected from them some of the best and most interesting things. And all I'm going to do today is I'm going to give out a couple of very important, blindingly obvious changes that you can do to your LinkedIn profile to make yourself more interesting. Please, can everybody take note? The most important thing is not to be unique. Can we stop talking about being unique? Ever since Simon Cowell, I think he's got a copyright on the word. Ever since he started talking about, oh, you're so unique, or you're very unique, it's nothing unique since the late 1920s. What we want to talk to you about is being interesting. Do you know when you were a kid and you desperately wanted to fit in and, oh, I mustn't look different? Today, it's all about being interesting. So let's shoot for that. So I would say first tip, all right? Everybody may or may not know that the LinkedIn URL, that's to say the URL, that's I think it's the Universal Resource Locator, which points to your actual profile by default is your first name hyphen your last name hyphen a bunch of random letters and numbers, and that's not the way I want to be remembered. So I recommend edit that out and replace those numbers and letters with 1 or 2 words that describe what you can do for me. And the way to edit that is by clicking on, go to your LinkedIn profile, click on home, click on your picture on the left, go to the far right, and click on Edit Public URL. Change that. That's the first one. Second one is about the image. Now, the image that you present of yourself, please, no more of these staring wistfully off into the distance pictures. Why is there so many of those on LinkedIn? Second of all, please go for an uncomplicated background, ideally plain. And third of all, head and shoulders, no discombobulated heads, please. Head and shoulders, smiling and facing forward. Now, really, it's that simple. It's not rocking horse manure. No, it's not rocket science. It's very simple. Please try that, guys, out, and make sure, I was going to say, in your headline, that the first portion of your headline starts with the letter I and says what you can do for me plural. That's what it should focus on. Now, these 3 little tipettes will help propel yourself up, make yourself more interesting. And of course, in those interminable Zoom meetings that everybody has, they say, well, how do I get a hold of you? You paste in your LinkedIn URL, and then 2 weeks later, they go and look at it and think, what the hell does Vicky Poole do? Well, it will say straight after her name, so they'll know. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gareth. And I have to admit, Gareth and I have met each other, was it coming up for 9 years ago now?
Yeah, all right. Don't remind me. It's a long time.
I know, it's amazing that I'm still 21.
Oh, shut up. Good
Gareth,
skincare regime.
I know, it's called Cousins Soap, believe it or not. Yeah.
Shout out to the Cousins Massive.
Awesome. Love a bit of freebie. Yeah. So Gareth likes to keep things really simple, and simple is always effective. So when you're looking to be more easily recognized, follow Gareth. He does lots of free tips.
I do lots of free tips. It's been wonderful talking to you today, Vicky. We should do this again.
We will. Should we make this a regular thing?
I think we should. Rude not to.
Awesome. I love that. Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Gareth. I'll see you next week. We'll have to think of a new topic.
I'm sure there'll be one on the agenda.
I'm sure there will be. Thanks.